The Law Library. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here this morning for the Law Library's annual crash course, which is we do every year to prepare you for any summer internships, externships that you might have. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce you quickly the Law Library staff. My name is Tara Long. I am a Thurgood grad class of 2000, and I am the currently appointed Law Library Director, Faculty Research Librarian, and instructor. We have present with us today Nanette Collins. Nanette, say hello so your picture will pop up.
Hi, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good morning.
We have, and she is our reference librarian. Also present with us today is Patrina Epperson-Emanuel. She is our circulation librarian. Please say hello, Patrina, so your picture will pop up.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
And we also have present Tim Harris, who is our learning resource librarian, who addresses the needs of our student body. Tim?
Hear me?
We can hear you, your echo. Thank you. I think we also have present Mr. Karim Aldridge-Rand, who is, no, I don't see him, but he's our technical services librarian, and several other library staff members. But I'd love to turn it over this morning to Anna Guerra. She's our wonderful Thomson Reuters Westlaw rep, and we appreciate her this morning for her presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Long. Welcome, everyone. I have a little bit of a sore throat. I've been teaching all week, so I'm starting to lose my voice, but thank you for having me today. And so I wanted to talk to you about research, be it in a clerkship or any place of employment over the summer, and just thoughts about how to research when you are at a place where the information might be new or unfamiliar to you. So one of the first things that I did want to talk about is how to save your research, how to be able to keep track and organize your research. And so one of the first things is, if you are at a place of employment that is not related to school work, you should be using their Westlaw account for several reasons that I will talk about throughout the class. Now, if you're at home and your partner gave you a project and you just don't really know that much about it, you can log on with your school password and maybe just do a little bit of research for your own knowledge. But if it's in relation to any work product for the firm, for the court, for the company that you're working for, you should be on their Westlaw account. And again, throughout the class, I'm going to show you why. So one of the first things that you can do is you can create folders for your project. So I'm going to go into my folders at the top of the screen. And I'm going to create a folder for this class. So I'll call this Law Project Summer 2023. Remember, with folders, you can save your documents, you can save lists of documents, but most importantly, you can share those folders with partners, with litigation teams, with a paralegal, with other summer associates. But one of the things is you can only share those within each of your accounts. So if you're using your student password, you can't share that with a law firm. And that's one of the reasons that you don't want to use your student password in the summer. So if I wanted to go into that law summer project folder that I created, and then I had some documents in there and wanted to share it, I would just simply click on the dots next to the title and click Share Folder. And when you do that, all of the people in your account will show up under contacts. Mine shows all of the employees of Thomson Reuters. Yours would show currently students and faculty and staff at Texas Southern. And so that is one of the reasons you want to use a law firm or court or corporate password that you've been given. Also, they may not have the same access that you have as a student. As academic password holders, the law library pays for your access to Westlaw, and you essentially have access to just about everything. And so not every law firm, every company has access to everything on Westlaw. So you want to learn how to access Westlaw to the databases that you have access to. So that would definitely be one of the first questions I would ask if I was starting at a job this summer and said, what do I have access to? What am I allowed and not allowed to do this summer as a summer associate or as a summer clerk? At the very top of the screen on the little person icon, I can click on that icon, and one of the links that is down there says subscription. Now, because we are academic users, ours shows a sample account because, again, you have essentially unlimited access to just about everything on Westlaw. But if you were at a firm or a court or a company this summer, this would show hyperlinked what you had access on your account and what you had access to as part of their plan, so that you could be aware of what you had access to use as research. So one of the other things that you could do is take a look through the list and try to identify databases that you know and you're familiar with and that you want to access regularly. And you can create favorites with those databases. Remember, this was something that I think I showed all of you during orientation, to create favorites database banks and to create places on Westlaw that you want to go back and utilize often. And this is definitely one way to stay efficient, in the sense of you're not going to go outside of your plan and you're accessing resources that you know that the firm or the court or corporate counsel has access to on their plans. You could then type in your search, click on your favorites that you created, and then click search. And therefore, you know that whatever you're accessing is what the place of employment has access to. So definitely when you go in, that should be one of the first things that you ask is, what am I allowed to do? What is our Westlaw plan? I want to be an effective, conscientious researcher, and I want to be able to research most effectively for you. And now one of our other recent additions that I love that has been part of our Westlaw Precision launch is the Outline Builder. So utilizing this little new tools icon right next to the person icon, there is an option that says Outline Builder. Outline Builder works directly within Westlaw, allowing you to capture kind of snippets of information from documents that you're reading on Westlaw. So I'm going to create an outline as I'm going today. And I'll also call it Law Project Summer 2023. And as I'm going through my research, I'm going to drop some pieces of information into this outline, and at the end show you what I can do with it. All right, so I'm going to go back to the home page, and I want to show all of you our new way of searching for cases, and that is with precision research. I did want to remind you that all of your content that you know and love, cases, statutes, secondary materials, forms, everything is still here under the Content Types tab. But if you wanted to start with a precision search, you could do this if you are working in a place that covers these various topics. So it isn't available for every practice area on Westlaw. So if what you're researching isn't one of these categories, you would want to go into content types and then start with cases or practice areas and try to find materials that way. But I did want to show you a precision research search result and what it looks like, because I think it's pretty amazing. So having worked for Westlaw for almost 25 years, probably one of the top questions that I get from, 1Ls is, I want to find a case exactly like my case, not just necessarily something legally related, but I want to find something specific with the facts about this motion, about this cause of action, this outcome, these various specific parties. And now you can do that. So I'm going to click where it says precision search. And I'm going to select employment law. You can see that I've already selected Texas and the Fifth Circuit, but I could change that depending on where I was researching. So you can change that by clicking on the jurisdiction. And I can see that there are 1,533 cases that have been tagged as a precision search result. Now, precision only goes back to 2010 with other leading cases as well beyond that. So I kind of like to think of it as a built-in date restriction. And I don't mind that so much because a lot of times the law has changed recently, so I may not want something from 1953 or 1930s or something. So again, if you wanted to look in everything, you could just go to all cases from your content tab and look at everything. But if you wanted to look here, I think it's a good place to begin as well. So I'm going to click in the 1,500 plus cases and then show you what you can do. So here we have our 1,533 results. And now over on the left, you have some new filters that you can look at that the Westlaw editors have added for you based on the tagging of the reading that they've been doing. So if I click on legal issue, I can see all of the different legal issues that were addressed by the decisions in these 1,500 cases. So maybe I'm researching a hostile work environment issue, and so I can tag that. Maybe there was something also related to retaliation. Maybe I reported, some harassment by a coworker, and then the next day HR brought me in and fired me. And now I also have a retaliation case. So here I can tag that. I can also see sub-issues underneath each of those categories as well. So this is how I can get really specific with my research. I can also look at specific facts that happened in these cases. Was there discriminatory conduct? Was this a superior, or were these, lateral employees? It was just my coworker. Was it also, sexual harassment? Was it dealing with some sort of medical or family leave? Maybe, I needed to take time off because of, my children being sick, something else that might have been related. So again, you can start seeing all of these different specific sub-issues that you can narrow your results by. And again, you can go through each of the attributes to see how you can narrow up and get really specific. The ones that I love, motion types. A lot of times you're researching a specific type of motion for summary judgment, motion to dismiss, motion, for continuance. What type of industry, hospital, corporation, school. And again, the different party types that were addressed by these cases, and then cross-referencing other areas of law that might be of interest. So I'm going to leave it to the 2 tags that I initially did, but you could go through and add as many filters as you want. And I'm going to show you my results, and it dropped my 1,500 down to 343, which is definitely getting into the reasonable range. I probably feel like the 1,500 was getting on a little bit of the high end. I was searching in Fifth Circuit and Texas, so that was 2 jurisdictions, but now 343, I'm definitely getting in the manageable range. And now I wanted to show you something else that starts to appear and that doesn't necessarily appear anymore. So since we're not in person, I'm not going to be too Socratic today, but one of the things that I want you to notice is that nothing's highlighted on the screen. You don't see any of the yellow highlighting any longer. And that's because we now have what's called this browse box, or kind of a summary of the case box that I like to call it. So before, when you entered in a search of your own and you maybe type sexual harassment, retaliation, hostile work environment, whatever it might be, you would see your search terms highlighted in yellow throughout your search results. But you didn't really know what the case was about. You knew that these documents had your search terms in them, but you didn't really know what happened until you opened the case and read it. And now I can see, did the employee show a causal connection between the discrimination and termination, establishing a prima facie case of retaliation? Yes. Here we have our legal issue, some of these facts, what causes of action were addressed, what motion was addressed, and was it granted or denied, and it was upheld. It will also link me to a head note that's related that I can take a look at as well. And I can also click here to find additional cases on this particular issue. I love this way more than just seeing my search terms highlighted, because I now know that this case might be really helpful for me. This is a case that showed the connection between, my, harassment, my termination, and my retaliation of me complaining about the harassment and then being terminated. So this might be a case I would want to take a look at. I could drop this into my folder that I created at the beginning. Start dropping items into my folder. Now, there are a couple of other things that I wanted to highlight here that's new. So you'll see this little flag at the top of our case. I can add this to my keep list. And I'm going to show you where that is here in just a moment. So let's say I want to keep this. Maybe I haven't read the whole case yet. It's almost 50 pages. So I don't want to put it in my folder, although I did just drop it in my folder, but maybe I'm not sure if I want to totally keep it there. So I could drop it in my folder, or I could put it on my keep list, and I'll show you where that is. We also have a new KeyCite tab that's called More Like This. More Like This is a new tab. So before in KeyCite, you had your table of authorities, which is everything that Owens cited to. And so this is all of the citations within Owens. And then you also had KeyCite citing references, which is everything that has cited to Owens. So this is kind of what's happened since our case. And we now have these two options, More Like This and KeyCite cited with. More Like This allows you to run an additional search from your case using those precision filters that I just showed you. So let's say I do like Owens and I want to find more cases like this, but maybe with some of the same facts where they were terminated, or there was no investigation to the harassment that I complained about. They just fired me the next day and didn't give me any credit or any respect about looking into what I was complaining about. So I can look through those filters to try to find other cases like Owens. And then my other favorite new tab, I actually really love this one. It's cited with. So a lot of times your case will be cited along in a string cite or in a paragraph with other cases, but those cases don't cite to one another. It wouldn't appear in the table of authorities and it wouldn't appear in the citing references, but it will now appear in KeyCite cited with. So I can see Jones v. US and Owens have been cited to 7 times together by other cases. So what are those other cases? Maybe those would be really good as well as Jones. I maybe haven't found Jones yet in my research. So I would maybe want to see these cases to see what they're talking about and how they relate to Owens and Jones, and why do they cite together. So I love this because one of the things that I always tell students is if you have one case, there are a lot of different ways that you can expand from that case and find additional documents. And all of these tools are really just meant to help you in your toolkit of research. If I go back to my document, remember, I can also look through my headnotes. I remember it was talking about one of the headnotes being related to my research. So I could scroll through all of the different headnotes to see if there was anything related to my research. Here I can see to make a prima facie case of discrimination, they must show 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here was also that question that was asked. And so one of the things that I always tell students is, if you find a case, one of the best ways to find additional cases is either through key cite at the top of your page or by utilizing your topic and key numbers. And this also is really helpful if you find cases outside of your jurisdiction. I know a lot of times I get, as the Westlaw manager, I found this really good case, but it's from the 9th Circuit, or it's from Arizona or the 1st Circuit, and I can't use it. You can use it. There's always a way to use a document. It's just remembering all of these little tricks. So let's say I found this case and the judge that I'm working for decides he, or she wants to find a case from the 9th Circuit about, discrimination. So all I need to do is click on the 78 key number 1118 over on the right side of my head note. It's going to run it first in the 5th Circuit because that's where that case was. But all I need to now do is change it to the 9th Circuit and rerun that search, and it will pull up cases that also discuss the practices prohibited and the elements to prove a discrimination case in the 9th Circuit. And so here we have them right with that one click. So this is an easy way to conduct your research. I'm going to drop a couple of these into my folder. And I'm going to open up this Opara case. I'm going to scroll into the opinion. So I'm going to start dropping some things into my outline. So I just cursored over it as if I was going to copy and paste. And I'm going to drop that into my summer project folder. Drop a few things in there. So that is just essentially utilizing a case. Don't forget, another way to start your research is with a statute, if you have a statute. I'm going to copy that. Particularly in clerkships, you may utilize statutes quite often. And so if that is the case, you can pull up your statute. A lot of times the head clerk for a judge or the judge may also give you some information. Don't forget about key cite for statutes right here at the top of your screen, as well as the notes of decisions, which are actually one of my favorite ways to start a statutes project, is by looking at the topics in the notes of decision. Remember, notes of decisions are just cases that have cited to this particular statute, but these are cases that the West editors have read and have said, Anna, if you're researching this statute, these are really helpful for your research. Citing references will be anything and everything that has cited to your statute. So this list is usually much longer. Notes of decisions are just cases. So again, two good places to start for your statutes research. I'm going to go back to my statute and drop that into my folder. Again, I could copy and paste some of these things into my outline if I wanted to do that. And I want to show you a couple of things before I wrap up. So I'm going to go back to the top of the screen where I accessed the outline builder to show you my keep list. So keep list currently only works with cases. And so remember, I actually dropped Owens into my folder, but I also kept it on my keep list. So I like to think of a keep list as something that I just want to kind of keep front and center, or maybe I don't have time to totally read it right now, and I just want to keep it for quick reference. So that is the keep list, and you can delete things once you've decided you don't need them. I can see that I've looked at this case. I've also foldered it. We're here in EEOC v. Service Temps. I've only just added it to my keep list. It's not in a folder, and I haven't completely opened it yet. I just dropped it in there. Here I also foldered these cases. I made a note on this Pottinger case. So I've looked at this case. So again, I wanted to show you that list. I'm going to go into my law projects folder. And so here you can see everything that I have in my folder. And now if I wanted to, I could share this folder with someone at the firm. But again, this should definitely be things that they have access to. This is why you wouldn't want to use your student password on the firm's, doing research for the firm. Also, because if you were researching on the firm's account and you leave for the summer, they would have access to those materials. But if you were researching on your student password and you went back to fall semester back at Texas Southern, they're not going to have access to your student account and be able to access the research that you did. So that is something really important to consider. The final thing that I wanted to show you is our new graphical history that we have now added. So if I click on history, in the past, the only way to look at your history was through the reverse list view, but now you can see a graphical view of what you've done and how you started a search or pulled up a document and where you branched out from that. So you can see that I pulled up the statute and then I did the find, and then I looked at the statute. I looked at the notes of decisions, and I also key cited that statute. Anything I clicked on would then be branched out. I could also see everything that I did from all of my other prior events as well. So I just love this able to look at what I did. I did my precision search, I used a filter, and then I looked at the Owens case. So again, you can kind of see how you got to a place. And for me, this is something that the attorney that I worked for when I was a 2L and 3L always wanted to see my history. How did you find that? What search did you run? What documents did you click on? What topic and key number did you use? So those are the things that you can also highlight and show them. And then one final thing that I did want to highlight is at the top toggle in the top left, and that is practical law. Practical law is something that you do have as a student, and I encourage you either today or after finals, before you start your summer job, to spend some time on Westlaw and take a look at all of the different types of resources that we have available. So for example, if I went into labor and employment and then clicked into discrimination, I could see everything in practical law that we had for discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. There are nice documents with checklists, toolkits, documents, clauses, overviews of the law, and leading you back into Westlaw. So I love this. It's a great outline of information for me about particular subjects that are covered in practical law. So I did want to highlight that. And then the very, very last thing is if you wanted to do some of your own on-demand learning, just some lessons on your own time, just some quick 2-5-minute lessons, you can go back to the homepage, click where it says on demand, and you can see all of the different certifications that we have on Westlaw. If maybe you feel like you need a little bit more statutes training or cases or secondary sources, researching. And then once you do these certifications, you can add that to your resume or to LinkedIn, or even print out your own transcript of information. So those were the things I wanted to show you today. I hope it was helpful, and thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you so much, Anna. We appreciate you. Anyone have any specific questions?
And if you do have questions later, I know that we have, we're restricted on time, but just on this main page, you can always click where it says contact us, and that will show you my picture and most importantly, the link to my email. So if you ever do have questions, I do have a general response time of 24 hours. It's usually much faster than that. Oftentimes I'll create a little Zoom for you or send screenshots of what I've done. So you're always welcome to email me. Thank you so much, Tara.
I did have one question for you. I was looking at I'm trying to go back to it using my graphical view, because I'm trying to follow along on my end. Oh, the notes of decisions. I was wondering if you could give me an idea of, I'm thinking of those almost in like key sites or head notes.
Yes.
That's kind of maybe when I think I would use that, but am I on target for that? Like the way I was looking at it was, if I'm looking at a statute and I'm narrowing it down, I want to look at.
Yes. So that's, to me, you're exactly right. So like if I was researching, 42 2000E-2, and I was looking at cases about retaliation and being discharged, I would go into notes of decisions, look at discharge, and see if there was anything specific maybe on retaliation, or, here we have constructive discharge. I can go through, here is retaliatory discharge. I can look at all of those cases. That these are ones that the West editors have identified have really discussed retaliation in relation to 2000E-2. Now, this is where it comes when I said, remember, a lot of times you might find a case that's not in your jurisdiction. So here, this is from Illinois, this is from Arkansas, this is from Connecticut, or here we have Louisiana. So you might be thinking, oh, well, great. None of these are from my jurisdiction, Anna. I can't use these. Wrong. Go into it and then look at those head notes and the key numbers and try to run a search in Texas or the Fifth Circuit. So even though it's not in my jurisdiction, I can still use it that way and try to find other things with key site more like this, or key site cited with. So yes, exactly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great weekend, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Okay, and now for our next presenter, we appreciate y'all all being on here this morning. We now that we have covered Westlaw and how you would use it in your pursuit of your summer internships or externships, we also have Alexis' presentation. Adriana, are you online?
Yes, I am.
Wonderful. And are you co-host? You want to go ahead?
Let me see what I've got here. Yeah, let me start my video. Looks like I do have things going. Can you all see me now?
We see you.
All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, let me see what I've got. All right, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right, welcome everyone. I'm excited to be with you today. I have a lot to show. I'll open it up at the end for any questions you might have, but I'm really excited to show you some of the tools that are available to you this summer now and in the summer. And particularly, I want to talk about the summer because in the summer, you have access to Lexis. It's unrestricted, meaning that there's no time restriction. We don't give you like certain number of hours per month that you can use it in the summertime. So it's unrestricted also in the sense that you can also use it for employers. So coming into the summer, if you're going to be interviewing between now and then, and you're looking for employment, you definitely want to mention to the employer that you're coming in with Lexis Plus access. That's huge to them. You will have access to it. Just do not share your ID, but certainly they have to have a subscription. So they're going to want to hire you. This is important also that you get certified. I'm going to show you a lot of tools today, but one of the things I want to mention before I hop in is just to get certified on Lexis. On the law school page here, as you can see at some point, I think it's at the beginning, there's all about getting ready for practice this summer, but putting it on your resume and being certified is so important because as you're doing the certification, it's 3 modules, you get 400 points for completing the certification program, but most importantly, you get to put it on your resume. So not only are you coming into the employment this summer, with Lexis in your pocket and being able to use this powerful tool that has AI analytics, but if you're certified, that says something about you. That says that you're prepared and trained and the employer is expecting you to know these things. So get certified. If you look on the banner, you can click on the banner for certification. It takes all of 3 modules, and then you complete a little quiz at the end and you can put it on your resume and you also appear on the National Registry. So I want to point that out. I'm going to go back to the law school, the Lexis Plus page. And today is really about giving you an overview of some of the tools that are available for you. I highly recommend also that you continue to educate yourself. So over here on the right, before I hop in, you'll see the little diamond icon. These are all different activities that are available. This ID, you won't see things here because this is just a sample ID, but all the activities that are available to you that you can complete for points are here. I would do them because they're teaching you how to use specific tools. So do those activities when you have time. Not only get certified, but practice, okay? Do as much practice as you can. All right, so let's hop into this. You're working somewhere this summer and you're an intern and you want to impress that employer. So there's some things you need to know upfront from the very beginning. Some of the ways that you can pull up documents, some of the tools and what they do. So if you get an assignment of any kind, just knowing what the tool does makes a huge difference, okay? They want you to pull up a specific, let's say, practice guide or treatise. Maybe they want you to pull up something that's only on Lexis, like Dorsanio. Dorsanio is a civil litigation guide. So for example, if you are doing a motion to dismiss, or maybe they're interested in adoption of a child or some kind of family matter, anything civil is going to be Dorsanio Texas Litigation Guide. This is a source that's only on Lexis. It is the most cited treatise in Texas. This is a treatise you need to know about. So for civil litigation, you want to know Dorsanio. How do you pull up that source? How do you pull up maybe even the Texas rules, the court rules, etc.? The search bar is very intuitive. It uses AI, machine learning. We're on the top of it. We're in the cusp. We're the leader in AI technology. And so you want to utilize that in the Lexis Plus homepage. First thing you want to do is type in the name of your source. So if you know it's civil litigation, they want you to pull up a motion to dismiss or something like that, you're going to want to pull up Dorsanio. So just type in the name of the source, Dorsanio. And if you start typing it in, Dorsanio, you'll notice that the search bar there, it's trying to decide what you want. So you'll see the Texas Litigation Guide, you'll see the index, etc. Just go to the Texas Litigation Guide. This is a civil litigation treatise. Select it. It's going to take you to the table of contents. And at this point, you can either open up the table, and as you can see, it covers everything from pre-trial to post-trial and appellate trial to business, commercial, real estate, personal, family code estates, etc. Okay, this is a very, very thorough treatise. You can either open up the chapters and kind of go through that way. So for example, in trial practice, you'll have practice and procedure, etc. It gives you everything from, starting a lawsuit to appealing it. You can also search. So for example, I'm going to search the table of contents and maybe I want like a motion to dismiss. So you can type in motion to dismiss and apply that. So you can search in the table of contents for whatever it is you're looking for. As you can see, it's going to give me a set of results, and you've got the master trial guide, etc. And just go through and find those things. So there's a motion to transfer venue, motions. The way I would search it too, let me edit my search. You can also type in things like in quotes so that it finds that exact document. You can say a motion to dismiss, something like that, and you can search the table of contents. Because notice that it's looking for anything that has the word motion in it. So if you're looking for specifically, let's say a motion to dismiss, something like that, there's a whole section on dismissal. And you can take a look at that motion to dismiss baseless cause of action. Go in. It's the complete guide. It tells you everything about how to use the form, the actual state rules, etc. So you're not missing a beat. It's very thorough. And then as you go through, you can actually see the actual motion here at the bottom. So what do? You just copy it, put it in a Word doc, and you can create a motion to dismiss. Okay. This is like I said, the civil litigation guide. That's like the guide, the golden treatise that they use in Texas, cited most by most attorneys. I'm going to go back to Lexis Plus. So you can also type in any name of any source. So if you know, for example, they want you to pull up, let's say, the interrogatories. Do they have interrogatories? Maybe they want you to come up with a set of questions on someone who has amputated their finger on a table saw. So you can type in the word interrogatory, and notice that as you start to type, it's going to give you sources. This Bender's Forms of Discovery Interrogatories is excellent. Just type in the word interrogatory or start typing it and go in. And this is going to be a volume of all kinds of questions. So for example, when I was a paralegal, they asked me to find a set of questions on for a cement company. We were suing a cement company. I had no idea what types of questions I would ask about cement, right? So if you are needing, let's say, a set of questions for someone who amputated their finger, you can say amputated finger. And see what pulls up. Are they set of questions? You can see from A to Z. They have questions on just about every single topic out there. Amputated finger. And let's see if there's anything that pulls up. Let's do this. Let me edit my search. I'm going to say amputation. I'm going to change it. Sometimes you have to play a little bit. Amputation of finger. And add the wording. And there's a whole bunch of things on interrogatories, plaintiff's interrogatories resulting from amputation of finger on a mechanical device. So let's look at that. And now you've got a whole set of questions that you would never know to ask, right? Different questions down here, identify yourself, etc. So whatever questions they may want you to come up with or, create yourself, you don't have to create them from scratch. Okay, there is a source for that. And again, all you have to do is go to Lexis Plus and start typing the word interrogatory. So just look like that. As you start typing it, go to Bender's. Excellent source. What if they want you to pull up maybe the Texas court rules or something, or the federal rules of procedure or something? Let me show you a way. This is a nice little shortcut or hack to finding those rules. I can say Texas code, and it'll pull up the Texas statutes and codes annotated and go there. This is going to pull up all the different Texas codes, right? Business Act, election codes, all of that. The probate code, see, you've got all of those accessible to you from there. If you want the Texas rules, what you can do is type in Texas rule, and you'll see the Texas load and state, state and federal court rules. And you can get all the different Texas rules. So everything from the Texas Rules of Civil Procedure down to everything, okay? There's a way to do this. So you can do a state. So if you're looking for Oklahoma or California, just do it the way I did. Whatever the name of the state is, rule or code. And you can do the same thing for federal. So I can say federal rule, right? And there's the federal rules annotated. And you can see that you have all the different federal rules here. Everything from federal rules of civil procedure down to federal rules of evidence, etc. And you essentially can search the table of contents. There's two ways to search. You can search all documents or table of contents like I did for Dorsanio. Table of contents will look for those headings, and search documents means it's looking for words within each page. So you're going to get a lot more results, a lot of results looking in all documents. So what I would do is I'd start off with a table of contents and look for specific headings like I did with Dorsanio. If you want to make something a favorite, whatever it is, let's say you're going to be coming to the federal rules annotated a lot, you can always select and save to favorites here. So whatever source you selected, once you select that and make it a favorite, you have it's accessible to you from the Lexis Plus landing page. Where is it? It's a little tricky. Just look for that little star right here on the right. And you can see anything that you saved as a favorite here. So I've got Dorsanio and I've got the federal rules annotated saved here. So I would do that, especially if you're going to be going to that source quite often. Okay. So what other things can you do besides pulling up specific sources? Well, what if you don't know what the name of a source is? Maybe you want to know, is there a good, criminal treatise, criminal practice guide, something in Texas? What you can also do is explore. So over here on the bottom in explore content, you can say by state, and you can select Texas, and you can see what sources are available. And these are not all the sources, but these are the most recommended sources that will help you get started. So you've got everything from cases and different types of cases you can search down to statutes. Here's that statutes codes annotated that I showed you in the court rules. So you can always find them that way. You can also see by secondary material. So is there a source you should be looking for, let's say for criminal law? The Texas Criminal Practice Guide is one that you should go to. It's like Dorsanio, but it's for criminal law, right? The Texas Transaction Guide, forms, etc. I'm going to show you how you can pull up forms. But this is another way that you can go to those sources without having to know exactly what the name is. You can just select the jurisdiction and then look under secondary materials for those types of sources. And again, once you select the source, it lets you search within the documents or table of contents. Okay. You can also make this page a favorite if you want. All right, let's go back to the Lexis Plus homepage. Let's start pulling up things like forms. So maybe they ask you to pull, maybe they want you to create a service contract for a plumber, right? A residential service contract. How would you find it? Well, as you can see that you have different types of content and you have everything from, all these secondary materials, etc. You also have something called sample forms. So we're going to use that and find some forms. I'm going to type in residential service. And in fact, I think I've already run that search. So I'm just going to select that. There's a residential service contract here. Just type it in, residential service contract, whatever it is that you're looking for. And then under content, you can select sample forms and see what forms you can search and what's there. I'm going to look at it. And again, it's going to be all different jurisdictions. So here's a residential service contract. As you can see, I've got a lot. I've got 149. You can select by jurisdiction. So you can select and say, well, I really want specifically those things for Texas, right? You can select those Texas sources, etc. Here's a residential service contract. You can even say, oh, I want to look for something that mentions plumber or is for plumbers. You can say plumber and kind of narrow it down to search for that. And you can see that it's still pulling up this residential service contract. There's different types of forms. There's agreements, petitions. Use the filters over on the left to narrow things down to the exact form or type of document that you want. I'm going to select residential service contract here. And again, this is going to be the Texas Transaction Guide. It's going to create this form or have a form that I can use. And all I need to do now is copy that document, put it in a Word document, and fill in the blanks. Okay, I'm going to show you some other sources that will actually have little boxes where you can type in the information and even download as a Word doc. But this is one way that you can get forms. Okay. Again, you can even pull up like a residential lease agreement, etc. And I'll show you that in a second. Let's do that. In fact, let's do that. Let's look for a residential lease agreement. Maybe this time you want something specifically for Texas, and you also want to find something that's a sample form, and then take a look at that and see what pulls up. And there's a little short form here, residential lease short form, and there's all kinds of ones. There's even the long form. And again, they look just like the ones I showed you earlier, where you can see how to use the form, you can copy and paste it into a Word doc, etc. But also use the filter. So if you're looking for something specific, let's say you get a large number of results. We're getting 57, but you're looking for something very specific. Remember to always use search within to narrow things down. Okay, so that's one way to get templates and forms. I'm going to go back to Lexis Plus. Let's just dive in a little bit deeper because I want to go into, if you're doing research, there's some things that you must know. Some of the tools that are within documents that you must know and be comfortable using. So one of the first things I want to show you is if you get asked to run a search and you're not familiar with a topic, maybe in this instance, there was someone who was arrested, you're working for a criminal law practice office, and someone was arrested because a drug dog came around and was sniffing around the porch of someone's home. They're arrested, they did not have a warrant, and you need to kind of get up to speed on that topic. You can ask a question, okay? One of the things you can do is ask a question and just run a search with that in mind and see what it pulls up. And as a reminder, you should always start off with secondary materials to get up to speed on your topic. But when you ask a question, notice that there's an answers card here at the top. So it not only provides practical guidance tools, I'm going to click more so you can see what's here. This is going to be like, for example, in the answers card, these are cases that are best able to answer your question. So these are going to be like 10 or so cases. And notice that they're in different jurisdictions. Okay, I'm going to show you how you can change that. But if you're getting up to speed on a topic, you're going to want to look at secondary material. So these are some sources that you can read to get up to speed on this topic to understand it better. Once you understand your topic, then you're ready to dive in. So you're looking at cases now in your answers card. Again, the answers card is the answers card above your results. So here's my results here. And the reason why I'm getting 10,000 results is because I just ran a broad search. I haven't added a jurisdiction yet, but maybe I'm looking specifically for the jurisdiction of Texas. And notice that it's Texas statutes, etc. So this is an important menu. This lets you switch between cases to the different content types. But let's take a look at court. My answers card is all over the place. Okay, how do I narrow this down to save time? Use your court filter to narrow to a specific jurisdiction. So maybe I'm dealing in federal law because this involves the Fourth Amendment. And maybe specifically I'm looking for maybe Supreme Court cases and Fifth Circuit or just Fifth Circuit. Notice that I can drill through. And if you open this up, you can drill down to the very specific district courts if you want. You can drill down deeply. I'm just going to select Fifth Circuit to show you what happens to the answers card when I select that. Once I select that, my answers card switches over to cases that are only in the Fifth Circuit. So make sure you're using your filters because it's a very intuitive tool. It's using AI to really find what you need quickly, but you need to be able to use those filters to narrow things down. So again, I can maybe start off with these cases if I want. I can add other filters. I can search for specific words. Maybe I'm looking for specific words or cases that mention the word porch. So are there any cases that mention porch? I can narrow things down and I can see that porch is highlighted in yellow. And these colors are important, you guys. So in the answers card, it's looking for those cases, not only that mention my terms, but mention porch. This is really going to help narrow things down for me. So I'm going to click less answers to show you. But as you're going through your results, notice that the yellow portion is where it mentions porch. This is going to help you narrow things down and to determine if this case is relevant or not. This is called the term map feature. So the term map tool maps your terms in color. It plots them down on this little graph here to tell you where those terms have landed. This tool is highly utilized in law firms. Before they even jump into Marbury, they want to know if this case is relevant or not. And you can do that easily just by looking at the color bands to see where those terms are located. And as you can see, I've got pretty good results. They mentioned porch and house a few times, and I can know that this case is relevant for me, okay? What else can I do? Well, I mean, I can always remove this filter and I can try a different one. Maybe I'm looking at Supreme Court cases. But the other tool that you must be aware of, okay, is things like the Ravel tool. What is that? Well, I've got 595 cases. If I was looking at that set of results, that's a lot of reading I would have to do, right? Well, you can switch over to this feature here called Ravel View at the very top right. This lets you see it visually, what cases are found and how they're connected to each other. It takes the top 75 cases in my results. That really helps narrow things down. Now, what you're seeing here on this graph is that every circle you see on there is a case. The bigger the circle, the more that case has been cited to by other courts. That means it's going to be an important case, like a seminal case. On the left, it narrows it down from the lowest court case to the highest. Okay, so the higher up here, the higher the court case is. From left to right, it's the older cases to more recent cases. Okay, my eye immediately goes to this big circle here, and watch what happens in this box. It tells me it's the Florida v. Jardines case. Okay, that's going to be an important case. It's telling me that other courts are citing to that case. I can select that, and when I do, it's going to bring that case to the top. Watch what happens. It's actually number 6 in my results, but now I can see how other courts have cited it, what they've said, distinguished, cited. You can see that some are green and are following, right? Distinguishing, following. These are all the cases citing to this important case, landmark case. But most importantly, it tells you what they thought about that case, and if they agree with it, disagree with it, etc. So what you're seeing here are your Shepherd's report in a visual format. This is important because I get this question a lot. How do I know I'm done with my research? I always say, when you see those same cases being cited over and over, you've got the research you need. You may have missed this Florida case. This is an important seminal case, landmark case, but I can visually see that it's important on this graph. So when you're doing your research, don't just stick to the linear view or that graphical view that gives you a set of results. Switch over to the Ravel view here at the top and see how those cases are connected to each other. It really does give you a leg up, because then you're able to determine, like, do I want to start up one of these recent cases? Maybe this one, this Rendon case, which was that number 1 case we saw in our results, right? I can click on that. I can remove this. And I can select that case right here and bring it up to the top, right? It's this case here at the top, the number 1 result case that it was mentioning to us. And I can maybe take a look at those cases and how they're connected to each other. So utilize this tool. This is a time-saving tool. It helps you see things visually. And if you're a visual learner, this is going to be extremely helpful to you to kind of narrow things down. Okay. Now, I also have my filters here. So at any point, I can add more filters and look at it in the Ravel view. So the filters don't go away. It's just another way of looking at your results. Okay. I'm going to switch back to the graphical view, back to the list view. So when I ran my search, this is where we landed. Asking a question also gives you other possible questions you can ask. And it's going to give you cases that you can start based on that question. So can't come up with a good question, just ask a question. The artificial intelligence AI tool will help you come up with other questions that you may want to ask. All right, so let's jump into a case and look at the different tools. Let me add Fifth Circuit here because I want to show you a pretty neat little tool. So I'm going to add Fifth Circuit, and I'm going to look at, let's take a look at this, where is it? I want to look at, there was a case that I wanted to show you. Let's just go into any case. I'm going to look at this Marbury case, this first one at the top. Some other tools that you need to be aware of that are helpful is things like taking a look at their head notes, because you can look at head notes and you can see the different rules that are cited. The court has specifically mentioned these are the different rules that are the most important legal issues in your case. But within these head notes are different tools. So these little features here are little topic summary reports. Let me see if I can find one on dog sniff searches. Here's one on dog sniff searches. Okay, so here's a rule. If I click on this little tool, this is a topic summary report. This is another tool that's exclusive to Lexis. This is a topic summary. This is the entire summary of topic on dog sniff searches. So if you're just starting your research on it, get up to speed quickly. This is made by attorneys for attorneys to get them up to speed. It gives you the definition as the court defines dog sniff searches, seminal cases you can start with, the statute that's involved. This is the amendment, Fourth Amendment, the secondary sources to get you up to speed on your topic, what needs to be proved in court in order to be successful in this case, and then the standard that the court reviews, that uses for appellate review. So you can see that these are all things that an attorney would want to know up front. Notice that it is a federal jurisdiction. You can always switch it over to state. So click view more, and maybe you're looking for the Texas information, the Texas rule. So click Texas, and it switches it from a federal report to a Texas report. So this is the definition in Texas, the seminal cases in Texas, statutes, rules, secondary sources, burdens, etc. for Texas. So again, this is going to be a time-saving tool. They want you to learn and write a little memo on dog sniff searches, find a good case, run a search, go in and look at the head notes and find a tape topic summary report, only on Lexis, okay? To get out of this topic summary report section, you can just click back or use your history to go back to that case, but I'm just going to click back a few times to get back to the case. So I'm looking at this library, you need to know about that. So make sure you're utilizing your head notes effectively. There's a lot of little tools found here. Now I can narrow a case and look at a head note in a case. That's easy, right? You can shepherdize and narrow by head note. But what if it's not a head note? So this is a rule, right? And we saw one that talks about dog sniff searches, smelling or sniffing the front porch. This is a rule. What if there's language in a case and we want to find cases that cite to that language and it's not a head note? Students often get stuck there. They're like, how do I find it? Well, you can shepherdize and find the cases that mention porch. You can look at, but what if it's not? What if it's just some language? So let me explain. When you're looking the opinion, you're going down here and you're looking at the different language and you come across a head note, great. But what if it's not a head note? Let me show you a tool that's handy. Down here at the very bottom of my screen, you see that little arrow? If you click on it, this is another tool you need to be aware of. There's something called legal issue trail. Turn it on because this lets you see the different passages that are being cited to by this case and other cases. So what I can do is look for any box. If you see a box around it, you can click on that box. Maybe I'm looking for the language in cases that are mentioning this. Okay, this piece right here. And I'm like, oh, I want to know what other courts have cited that particular passage. If you see a box around it, click on it. That's going to let me find the research for that passage. Here's my passage here at the top. It's like running and shepherdizing that paragraph. Okay, it tells me that Marbury has cited to these cases. And if there are other cases citing to that passage, it gives me them here at the bottom. I'm going to go back and see if I can find a passage that other court cases are citing to. I'm going to click this. Okay, so this case is citing to, Marbury citing to these cases. Oh, wow, goodness. Let me see if I can find one. I want to find a really good example. Let me see about this one. I want to show you the other cases as well. Sometimes you might see a passage, let's say in the dissent, and then you can see other cases citing to that particular case. So this, again, is not going to be the best example. But if you can see that there are other cases citing to the case that you're looking at, so it lets you update your research. Very good, important tool when you're trying to do appellate work. You're trying to find those persuasive language. Like I said, it's like shepherdizing by paragraph. So if you have to write some kind of appellate brief or maybe something very persuasive, use the legal issue trail. It helps you find the research for that passage. Okay, I'm going to click back. Just turn it on, look for the passage, and go to that passage. And then you can see other cases citing to it. Okay, that's something you must know. What are some other tools you should be aware of? Let's go to Lexis Plus. You definitely need to know about when you're shepherdizing a statute to find cases citing a particular subsection of a statute. So let me type in 18 USC 1030. Okay. This is a statute that talks about computer hacking. Let's say you have a client who has been accused of taking client lists. And are they a computer hacker according to the statute? So this statute gives you a lot of language. See all the subsections, all these subsections. Now, sometimes most of the time when you're working somewhere, you're not going to be looking for every case citing to every part of the statute. Maybe you're just looking for cases citing to the subsection A4. Maybe you're just looking for cases that mention a former employee who took client lists. Are they considered a hacker? How do you navigate through a statute? This is a very important research, can I say it? It's very important for you to know how to do this, is the best way I can say it. You're definitely going to want to go to notes to decisions, but let me show you how you can navigate things down. So you're going to go to notes to decisions, right? And you're going to look, for example, it's a former employee. So you're going to look for a section that discusses employees and former employees. Great. You're going to go there. These are going to be examples of how courts have applied this statute, 18 U.S.C. 1030, as it relates to employees and former employees, okay? But in here are little examples, and you're going to look at this section and you're going to read and you're going to say, well, where's the example of one that mentions client lists? Let me show you a little hack, a way of getting what you need. So search within this document here and type in client lists. Let's apply that. It's going to highlight this passage or any of those words in yellow. Okay, so that's great because now we're going to see how many times the word client list has been mentioned. So I've got 29 mentions, right? And you can see them here. I can kind of go through and jump to those sections. But we're looking specifically in the notes of decisions for former employees. So let me close that and let's go back to the notes of decisions. And I'm going to look for former employees. So I'm going to look at that section. And now what I need to do is look for anywhere where the word client list is highlighted. You see that? So now I can see that this passage mentions a former employee computer files were copied before leaving, did not violate this section of the statute. Great. Now we have an example of how courts have said whether someone violated that subsection of the statute, right? But is that the only case? They mentioned the Brett Senior case. Is that the only case? This is just one example. How do you get all the cases citing to subsection A4 that mention client lists? And is it always not a violation? I'm sure there are cases where the court found that they did violate. So how do I then get the research more? How do I expand my research and find subsection A4 where cases or courts have mentioned client list? Let me show you a tool that only Lexis has. Notice at the top, there's 4,525 citing decisions. That means there are 4,500 cites from courts that are mentioning the whole statute, all different subsections of the statute. If all I'm looking for is subsection A4, I'm going to show you a tool only Lexis has. It's going to make your life so much easier. What you're going to want to do, and let me go to the top to explain what subsection A4 looks like. So this is the language of the statute I want. Here's subsection A4. I want this. I want court citing to that part of the statute. I don't want any other part. I just want this part. And I want to know if they did violate or didn't violate. Okay. What I can do is I can shepherdise, which is the same as me going to the citing decision. So these features here have to do with shepherdizing your document. So let's go to the citing decisions. I've got 4,500. I want subsection A4. I can't just type subsection A4 here. That will not get me what I need. What you need to do is scroll up and look under see court treatment of subsections. Y'all see that? That lets me look at the statute and puts it down into subsections. So now I can narrow things down. You see how it narrows them down into different subsections? You may have to go through multiple pages to find subsection A4. I happen to know it's on page 3. So I'm looking for that subsection A4. Here it is. Okay. I'm going to select that. And by the way, when you select the page, it scrolls to the bottom. So just scroll if you need to. But I'm going to select it. Out of those 4,000, there's 1,600 references. Let's look at A4. Now I have my research for subsection A4. Do y'all see that up here? Only Lexis has this feature. You don't want to just shepherdize the entire statute and try to dig through thousands of citing references. If you want subsection A4, here it is. And now all you need to do is use your filters either by court to find the ones that are in Texas, or look here on this little preview here. There's some courts in Texas and narrow them that way, or by federal jurisdiction to a specific court like Fifth Circuit. So then you can use your filters here on the left to narrow things down to find those cases. Okay. You want to find the ones that mention client list, type in client list and narrow it down. Okay. And that's going to help you. Of those 848, let's see how many mention client lists and apply. And then you can narrow things down. There are 50, so you don't have to go through all of those. You can just look for the ones that mention client list, and then you can narrow them down even more using the filters on the left. So that tool, that subsection report filter, is only found on Lexis. You will not find it on any other research tool out there. Make sure you know how to use that. That's a very, very important tool. All right. So what other features and tools might you use? Well, other things I want to mention too before I jump out of Shepherd's, another tool in the Shepherd's you must be aware of is just sometimes you're writing a motion, sometimes you might be writing a brief. And if this subsection, and you're looking for cases that mention this subsection or a case or something that's important, always look under other citing sources here on the right, because this is your Shepherd's report that lets you find things like motions, briefs, any other court document. As you can see that there's a lot of court filings here. So if you wanted to look at, let's say, an attorney who mentions subsection A4, and you want to see how they use subsection A4 to argue before a court in a motion, you can do that just by looking and shepherdizing. So here's a motion for summary judgment. Here's a motion to dismiss. You can select that. Now you have these motions to dismiss that mention subsection A4, and you can even type client list to see if any of them mention that too. Go into that motion and see how other attorneys are using or citing to that subsection of the statute. It may give you the language you need to be able to put that in your own motion to be successful, okay, in winning and getting that motion granted. So there you go. Things to note, Shepherd's does all the hard work for you. All you need to do is know how to use the tool. All right, so what other things can you do on Lexis? I'm gonna go to Lexis Plus. Let's take a look at some fun stuff now, okay? So maybe you're gonna be working for a litigation firm. This is a tool that's been around on Lexis. A lot of people don't know about it. It's sort of hidden here on the right-hand side. It's under tools and resources. This is called the Fact and Issue Finder. This is a litigation tool, okay, for litigators. So let's go to Fact and Issue Finder. This tool lets you really run a search across multiple types of tools out there and brings them all into one space, okay? The practice areas that are currently available on this tool for litigators are business and commercial insurance, etc. I'm going to run a torts and personal injury one to give you an example of how it works. You first have to start off by selecting a practice area, and then you can select what they recommend if you're looking for a specific topic, or you can type in your own. I'm just going to type in negligent infliction of emotional distress. As you start typing, it starts to give you some recommended searches you can do. I'm just going to say negligent infliction. Maybe this person is a bystander, witnessed a botched surgery, or maybe they witnessed something with an elevator accident, something along those lines. So I'm going to start off with kind of the broad topic, and I can either select a jurisdiction or I can just run a broad search. You can always filter after, and just want to show you how it works. So when you select a topic, it lets you add more facts. So it's going to refine your search and recommend some things that you can search. You can even search specific judges. You can even add specific types of injuries. I'm just going to type in things like bystander. He's a bystander, and you can apply that. So you can start applying your different facts. And what this tool does is actually gathering information from lots of different tools. It's looking at Lexis Plus, it's looking at CourtLink, it's pulling from context, it's pulling from all these different Lexis products and placing them in one spot. So now you have cases, practical guidance, administrative materials, verdicts and settlements. Like I said, this is a litigation tool. It lets the lawyer know, are there cases out there? Were they successful? What was the amount that they won? What did they settle? What percentage? They even give you a list of expert witnesses, etc. So you have here all kinds of good information that the litigator would need to know. If you go to the case graph, you can actually see the life cycle of the case. So it's going to give you the cases that are for that particular topic and the life cycle of that particular case. So you can see statutes and codes, you can see all of that. So you're not going to miss a beat. There's briefs and pleadings connected to this case, dockets, statutes, etc. So you have a complete research set here. Again, it's an advanced tool for litigators. It's there. You can narrow things down here on the right, on the left-hand side, etc. They even give you like verdicts and settlements, etc. It does have something called no-fill searching. So you see at the top, what that is that if you said you typed in a term and it isn't found in one of those different pods, for example, maybe you wanted to see something called, that maybe it includes an elevator accident or something like that. When you apply that, it runs a new search. But if for some reason that term isn't found in a specific area, like for example, it's found in administrative materials, so you can see that it's checked. But in this instance, you see it odd, like it's hollow. That means under practical guidance tools like treatises, it didn't find something that mentioned elevator. So that lets you know that yes, there's some administrative materials, there's some elevator cases that mention elevators, but you can see that it's going to still give you that practical guidance, but it's letting you know that elevator is a term that's not found. So that no-fill searching, you can turn it off, turn it on, but it's there to make sure that you're getting results and you're not missing something because you typed in a term that wasn't found. Again, an advanced tool for litigators. Play around with it, get comfortable with it. This is something that's available to you that'll make you look like a rock star if you're going to be working somewhere for a litigation firm. What are some other tools? I'm going to go to Lexis Plus. I really just want to give you an overview of some really great stuff that's out there. Other tools that are available are things like practical guidance. All of these, let me go into practical guidance. Remember how I showed you some templates and forms? Well, this is like the tool for templates, forms, checklists, etc. It's pulling, Lexis Plus has it sort of weaved in. You saw some forms, but this takes it to another level. So this tool is our transaction guide, civil litigation guide, forms, templates, checklists, as I mentioned. You get all of these things, all kinds of articles, etc. Let's take a look at, for example, the civil litigation and go in. It's going to give you everything from pre-litigation planning to discovery to appeals. But let's take a look at motions. And let's see the templates. There's all kinds of checklists, etc. Let's look at templates. And let's look at tasks. And you can even narrow it down to a jurisdiction. I'm going to look at dispositive motions, like a motions to dismiss. And then I can even select one that's specific for Texas. So I'm going to look at maybe Texas. And here's an affidavit. Hold on, let me remove Texas for a second. Sometimes just a general Texas template will work. And let's look at, for example, oh, there's all kinds of here. Here's a motion. Now here's a motion for default judgment, etc. Let's look at that. Let's just looking for a motion for default judgment. Well, let me look here. Let me look at a motion first for summary disposition to give you an idea. So here is a motion for summary disposition. Here's the actual, this is for a state of Michigan example. So it gives you like drafting notes and etc. But you can easily just open up this document in a form of a Word doc. So you can open it up and you can download it. And now it's in a Word doc. So now you have this motion. So I would say this tool, rather than just copying and paste it from Lexis Plus, this tool gives you some other options, okay? It really lets you see things in a different light. So I'm going to go back. So you can download it in a Word doc. I'm going to go back. And let's do this. Let's remove, let's go to, yeah. So just go through it and take a look at the different types of motions. They have them from different states. I'm going to just remove dispositive motions, just so you Texas to give you that. It has quite a bit. There's different for Texas, declaration. They have these really neat little like process maps. Let me see if I can find one for you. That's really great. Let me see if I can find a process map. I don't see one here. I should have been better at finding stuff for you, but play around with this tool. They have some really neat little process maps that are available. I'm going to go back to the homepage. Let me see if I can find something for you that'll give you that. That'll help you kind of learn the process of things. That is really helpful. Now it's kind of slowing down. So give me a moment. Is it going to take me back home? Hang on a second. Let me see if I should click. I'm almost afraid to click back. No, we're good. I'm going to click back. Let's see if I can go back to Lexis Plus. It's slowing down. You gotta love technology. Is it just me or is it you guys? You guys can still hear me, correct? Somebody say yes.
We can
Okay.
still hear you. Any questions while we're waiting on the technology to come through? Any specific questions for Adriana?
Looks like they're just watching. That's good. All right. One other thing I want to show you in this tool is trust and estates, because a lot of you are going to be asked for like, how do I, create a will, etc. As you can see, there's wills. So let me show you that. So you can look at templates again, and you can look for like under Texas. I want to show you that there's some like actual tools that will build a will for you. So there's an automatic template. So let's take a look at that. Anytime there's an automatic template, these are great to look at because you can actually build it as you go. If you click build your document, it'll ask you questions. It's almost like TurboTax if you've ever used it. It asks you a question and you fill in the blank and it'll build your document for you. So that's one way you can do it. Or you can take a look at this, expand and add, look at the drafting notes. You can add clauses, and then you can just, as you're adding them, you can drop it and open it in Word form. So these are great. These are easy to build forms, etc. As you can see, they're maintained. This is as updated as February 10th of 2023. So very, very recent updated documents. So play around with Lexis practical guidance. I'm gonna go back. So practical guidance, again, is gonna have forms, templates, checklists. One other thing I wanna mention is if you're working somewhere and you're still learning that practice area, take a look at the practice videos or the practical guidance videos, because there are more than 400 different videos here and all the different practice areas. You can scroll up the top. And if you want to get up to speed on a practice area quickly, watch the video. These are attorneys in large law. They're creating these videos for attorneys, okay? And you can watch and you can understand and read, and not read, but get up to speed on a topic rather quickly. Just want to make you aware that it's there. There's a lot of other things this tool does, like it will compare state laws to each other. Just a quick view of that. So if you're trying to compare laws across 2 different states, you can always compare laws. It's pretty amazing. So for example, let's just look at employee, let's look at labor and employment. Maybe you want to select a topic on medical leave, something like that, and you want to compare 2 different states. I don't know, we're going to select, let's do like New Jersey and maybe Texas or something like that. Maybe this employer is trying to compare the laws across 2 different states. And then you can select the different questions it can ask, or you can select all of the questions and then download the report. Pretty amazing what it does. You can download it as an Excel spreadsheet or a Word doc or a PDF. Let's take a look at what that looks like. It creates this report and it compares the laws across 2 different states. So you can open that up and you can see what it does, and it opens it up. And it creates this report, which compares the laws across 2 different states. And I have it so broad, but literally look at how it goes through, and it gives you the 2 different states, what Texas law is. Lord, make it smaller, but it compares it. Imagine if you had to do the research on 2 different states on a specific set of questions. This will let you create that report so easily, and you're ready for that client. So lots of tools out there that are available for you. All right. Let me show you some other tools while I still have some time. Learn how to use practical guidance. There's a lot of tools here. Play around with it. Other tools I want to make you aware of is right up here at the top. It's called context. So maybe you are going to be interviewing with a judge. Maybe you need to do research on a judge. And you want to get everything about that particular judge, or maybe you're writing a motion and you want to convince the judge or persuade the judge. Maybe you're working somewhere and the attorney is going to be coming before this judge, and you want to write that motion in a way that's most persuasive to a judge. This tool does research on experts, judges, courts, attorneys, and companies. It does a lot. I'm going to select the judge search on this context tool, and I'm going to type in the name of a judge, Bernice Donald. And I'm going to select her, and I'm going to run the search. So with just typing in the name, I have everything about Judge Bernice right here, her CV, the document she's published. So if I'm interviewing with her, I can get to know who she is, more about her, have something to talk about when I'm interviewing with her, maybe for a clerkship. You can also see under analytics, all of the different motions and decisions from Judge Bernice Donald. There's over 200 different motion types, etc. You can also look at different citation patterns, etc. for this particular judge, okay? And you can also look at the different documents that this particular judge has published, okay? Hopefully I'm still on. I was getting a call from someone, so I'm not sure if I'm still on or if I'm off. Tara, can you still hear me?
You're here.
Okay, excellent.
We're here. We sent you a text message. We sent you a chat message also.
Okay, all right, hang on just a second. All right, hang on just a second. All right, I'm going to wrap it up now because I'm taking up time that it's for the librarians. So I'm going to wrap it up. This tool, I just wanted to make you aware that this tool has a lot of different features. Okay, I've done a lot of showing you different things. You can also run a search for expert witnesses, etc. So just play around with this tool. It's available for you. And then the last thing I want to show you, just going back to Lexis Plus so I can wrap it up, is just how to get help. So I'm going to go back to the Lexis Plus research page, and I'm going to select here at the top on these vertical dots is just how to get help. So I'm sorry, hold on a second. Right. Yeah, right there. Live chat support. If you need help, you're looking for something, don't worry, just go to live chat. You can ask a question. It's not available on weekends, but it's available Monday through Friday. So just go to live chat support and ask any questions you might have. They're available for you and they can answer any question, find anything you need. So I'm going to wrap it up there. I'm sorry if I took up some time. I thought I had a little extra, but here we go. I'm going to turn it back over to the librarians to take over from here. Any questions at all?
Ms. Ramirez, I'm gonna send you an email. I completed my Lexis certifications back in January and
Yes.
still haven't seen my name on the registry.
Okay, no problem. We can always find out from the Lexis operations team where that is and make sure that it gets on there. So send me an email. I'll be glad to follow up for you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm going to stop my share and turn it over. And I hope you picked up a lot of really good nuggets. I'm sorry I took up some extra time there.
No, it's okay. It was a great presentation. We thank you so much, Adriana. You're always wonderful.
You're very welcome. Last thing I'm going to ask is I'm going to get a list of students because I want to make sure I give everybody 350 points for today's presentation. So I'll get back with you all on them. Thank you. I'll let go. Do I need to like turn it over, or you guys can take over at this point? I don't want to like leave and knock.
I think I'm a co-host, so I think you're good to just exit out.
Okay. Thank you so much. You're welcome. I see some positive kudos, so thank you.
So we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, but before we break, please look into the chat. I have attached the crash course criminal law fact pattern. Either take the 5 minutes to read through the fact pattern. We will be covering it and actually giving you real time. This is how, if you have 30 minutes to do research, the best and accurate way to do it with some tidbits. We will go over, it looks like, about 5-10 minutes, but we're promising to give you gems when we finish this 5-minute break. So we're going to come back on at 11. Well, it's almost 11:30, but I guess 11:33 on my clock, which would be 5 minutes from now. And please take your time to read the fact pattern. We're just taking a quick bathroom break. Thank you so much. Everybody back. Okay, we're back. Is everybody able to see the screen and see the chat version of Lucius and Cookie's story?
I don't see your screen anymore, but
Okay, let me try to add it back in. Great. Thank you, Ms. Hurd. So let me make it large enough for us to actually see and read, because the important things I want to remind you, this is the legal research / library part of the presentation. It will be given by myself, Tara Long, Nanette Collins, and Tim Harris. I'm starting with just the legal research refresher. And I call it the refresher because it's just some things we want to remind you if you're a 2L and you've forgotten the basics for taking a fact pattern and making sure you understand what you need to be looking for when, whether it is a client for your firm or it's a person sitting in front of you with information that you must be researching. You always want to pay attention to those things we used to call trap, which are the things, relationships, parties, places, actions, causes of actions that pop up as you're reading a fact pattern or per se a client file. So we automatically note, where are they? Houston, Texas. What is the main issue that we're dealing with? Is it family, criminal? You have to see first that it's a criminal matter. These are important. One, because it's a difference between what you would do when you're researching a federal issue and what you would do when you're researching a local state issue. If it's a federal issue, all you're looking at is federal law, how it applies, whether there's jurisdiction. When you're dealing with a state issue, you have to go to that state specific laws, statutes, and see how not only do the state law apply, but how the circuits have kept the state laws in effect, or whether they've changed how those things will be applied. So you're not, when you're having a state issue, you're not just looking at state, you're actually going to look at the states and the circuits, which is the appellate levels, for what they've said about those laws. When you're looking at federal, you're specifically looking at federal jurisdiction. And the first thing is, does jurisdiction even apply? So we have Cookie and Lucius running drugs in Houston, Texas. It's a state issue. It's going to deal with criminal law. So we're looking at the penal code, the code of criminal procedures. And specifically, you have to make sure you understand what your assignment is. Here you are an intern for a law firm and you're being asked to defend them. Your supervising attorney is specifically asking you to write a short statement of issues surrounding their arrest for possession with intent to distribute cocaine. What's important there? Things. There's a big difference for arrest for possession versus an arrest for delivery. And category of drugs also is important. So we're dealing with cocaine, but there's a difference when you're dealing with marijuana versus methamphetamines versus other drugs. Because the first question I always ask my client when it's something that potentially could be a prescription is, do you have a prescription? Whether it's a class 3 or class 1 drug, if it's something that can be prescribed, makes all the difference in how you're going to defend your case. So these are things that you're looking at and noting as either your client is sitting telling you their fact pattern, or if you're literally reading a case file where you have such facts as they are presented in front of us. So we also want to know suggestions for a document that you can file on behalf of Lucius and Cookie. So for my part of the presentation, I'm taking you through the legal research aspect, and you have about 30 minutes to produce some type of something for your supervising attorney, a list of defenses and possible suggestions of filings. One thing I always tell my students is, outside of school projects, it's okay to look at and use Google. Why? Because when you're understanding the bottom line of what you're producing, sometimes it's as easy as an article that they want from you. And producing an article is not always necessary that you're running to Lexis or Westlaw. Sometimes you just need an article on the latest rulings or the latest issues dealing with a type of drug. So, first step first, understand what your supervising attorney is asking you for. What is the bottom line? What are they asking you to produce? Cases, statutes, articles, or just general information? And yes, for general information, you can start at Google. Now, there is a difference between Google World Wide Web search, and a Google Scholar search, which you probably learned if you were any type of fine arts major in undergrad. And so you want to make sure that when you are making a reference list, especially if it's something that's only provided online, you are cutting and pasting the browser citations. You want to always make sure anybody can get back to the source you're quoting. And two, ask for a timeline. You need to know when this is due and what period of time they're asking for. There's a big difference if they're asking you for statutory law that's current or something that happened at a different time period. So you really need to know what your timeline is, meaning when is your project due, how long you have to get the project done, and two, what period of time are we looking at? Is this a current case with current law? Or are we dealing with an appellate action that I actually need to be pulling the law as it was at the time of the case that occurred? So let me take you to another realm, the realm of legal documentation. Keep calm and call for help. It is not cheating when you have 30 minutes to produce a product to call 1-800-LEXIS or 1-800-Westlaw. These are their phone numbers. Use them. They have research assistants that are there to help you and help keep you on the timeline that you have been assigned. So it is not cheating to use either one of these sources because they are sources. And it's not cheating to ask them, well, instead of walking me through this research, can you please send it to me at your search results as an email? I'd appreciate it. What does that do for you? One, it gives you the search string in a format that you can keep. It's on an email, you have it, and you can adjust. Two, if they get you the on-point case, the on-point statute, having them email it to you saves you a lot of time. Next, when in doubt, time is of the essence. You're not sure what that term of art or that legalese term that your supervising attorney keeps using. Use a dictionary and a thesaurus. These are two items that we tend to forget are right at hand. A Black's Law dictionary is available to you online and also through Westlaw and Lexis. And two, using antonyms of the terms you have or synonyms helps you broaden or narrow your searches. So it's okay to use terms that are intertwinable or terms that are opposite to possibly find the solution to the question you are asked to search. Don't forget to organize your research. There's nothing worse than your supervising attorney saying, I need to know where you went and what search terms you used, and you never wrote down anything. It's not about putting pen to paper anymore. It's about keeping a log of your research of where you went, keeping a log of the search terms that you used and the results they produced, and using zip drives. And even if you're printing paper production, also email that print paper production to your supervising attorney, because inevitably people lose paper.
Okay, for 1 second, this is where I'm going to jump in about where she said keep track of your research. Sometimes your supervising attorney will ask you to look up something and you will not find anything. So when you're looking up something, you need to keep track of, so that if they're actually paying you and you may have spent 1 or 2 hours searching for this, you can't tell them I didn't find anything. No, if you find nothing, the proper response is, I didn't find anything, but I looked in these 10 places. I called Lexis and Westlaw. Give them, you have to account for your time because they are paying you. And not only that, but then the attorney's going to say, well, did you look here? Did you look there? Did you use these terms? So you need to keep good records of everywhere that you've been to justify your time, if nothing else. Okay.
And I think that kind of goes with my closing tips on what I'm talking about. You're not going to forget what you learned today. You're not going to forget the shortcuts and avenues that are available to you through Westlaw and Lexis that you learned. You're not going to forget that it's okay to Google when you're looking for generic information. You're going to always have a research plan and have taken good notes of what you found, where you found it, and how you found it, or what you didn't find and where you looked. And don't forget, we are here for you. The library building is not closed. It says it's closed today because we know it's closed this weekend, but the library is always open. Librarians are available to you not only physically during the summer, but we're also available through our email addresses and leaving voicemails. And we do return those calls and help you get where you need to go for what the information is you're trying to find. So even though we have taught you different ways and avenues to find research, we are available to you through our email addresses, telephone numbers, and most of my students have my personal cell phone number to be able to reach me and reach the library. Now I'll turn this presentation over to Tim Harris, who can give you some pointers for working at a law firm for the summer. Tim, I don't know, you might be on mute, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
All right. All right, so the good news is next year, or depending on what year you are, you're going to be generating around $250 to $500 an hour for your work. But the great news about that is that the key to your success is going to be how much can you do in that 1 hour? How much value can you add to your firm or your client in that 1 hour? And I say that's great news because it's not going to matter what your LSAT was. It's not going to matter how many times you took the bar. If you can go in and demonstrate that you are adding value, you will be off to a great start in your career. All right, so firstly, I don't care where you go, whether you're at a non-legal corporation, law firm, public defender, you're going to spend the first couple years of your career doing basically legal research. The only difference is who you're doing it for, whether you're doing it for a partner in a law firm, a client, or advising a non-attorney-based corporate client. So you're going to have to figure out how do you research and communicate. So what I would like for y'all to do is just think of it like we're athletes. Lawyers are athletes. We're like intellectual athletes. So we have to use our words, our communication skills, ability to write, our ability to solve problems quickly, as that's your game. So what you want to do is you would never see Kobe Bryant, Serena Williams, Michael Jordan only just shooting free throws or practicing to serve. They're working on all aspects of their game. So you're not going to hear this in law school, but it's important. You got to be quick as well as accurate. Okay, so going back to the sports analogy, that's my background, so that's kind of where I go. When you go to a professional team, when you're trying out, you're competing against your teammates. And when you go on the floor, obviously you're competing against the opponent. Same thing in a law firm. The law firm may bring on 8 summer associates and they tell themselves, we're going to take the best 5. So that doesn't mean eliminate other people. It's not like a reality show. What you want to do is get better than them, do more. Take a self-inventory of your skills and be very critical of yourself and honest. Am I the best writer, or am I better at researching? Am I a good communicator? Or if I'm not, am I good at firm politics? Establishing connections with partners who can give you money. You have to figure all that stuff out in the beginning and then execute your game plan. So what I would suggest, and this is a tip, don't tell anybody else you're doing this unless they go to TSU, because my hope is that TSU students can apply this and start making a name for themselves. When you go to a firm using Westlaw or LexisNexis, that's like $80 per search, okay? And the menu gets even higher than that depending on what you're plugging in. So what you want to do in your spare time, just like Kobe Bryant would work on his quickness and agility without playing a full basketball game, just like Serena Williams would do the same thing in the gym when she's not holding a racket, go to Yahoo, Bing, Google, MSN, all of these every search platform you can think of, right? They all work on slightly different algorithms, but they're the same algorithms that Westlaw and Lexis use within their database. So what you want to do is, if you want to become a better athlete, attorney than your coworkers, spend 5-10 minutes figuring out, is it better for me to use an ampersand on this side, on this search, or just use a space? Which word should I plug in to get to to most quickly get to the documents I'm looking for? If you do this, I guarantee you that you're gonna stand out. Your competitiveness is gonna stand out. I'm not saying it's gonna like transform how you into a great writer if you're not a very good writer, or make someone who's very introverted or very gregarious, charismatic public speaker. But what it does is makes you valuable. It allows you to control your own destiny, get your legal research done, and get out there and do good work and make a lot of money, and then be able to decide whether you want to continue practicing law or not. All right, I'm done.
Thank you so much, Tim. Any questions for Mr. Harris? Okay, Ms. Collins, you're going to show them exactly how to get to the forms that would go with this fact scenario.
Okay, all right. Patrina, can you let me share my screen, please? Nothing's coming up. Okay. Nothing's coming up.
Okay, you should be a co-host now, Nanette.
Okay. Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so what I'm going to show you how to look up is a motion to suppress. Okay, so I went on, I didn't pick Westlaw because we don't have much time, but so I picked Lexis, so we're on Lexis. So we already know that our fact pattern is in Texas. It was an illegal search on Lexis. So, I mean, it was an illegal search in Texas. So I'm going to pick Texas. Okay. So from that main homepage, I'm picking Texas. So what actually comes up is all of our Texas resources. So, and I already know I want a motion to suppress. So, you know, when you pull up all the stuff from Texas comes up. First, your cases come up. After cases, statutes and legislation, then, okay. What I actually like is case-related materials. You can search this one, and what you can put in, we're looking for a motion to suppress. What you can put in is you can put in a motion to suppress here and get actual motions to suppress. When I move to secondary sources, okay, what we're actually looking for here is we're actually looking for a form. We're looking for a form for a motion to suppress. So when I go to, and this is a criminal case. So what I can look in is, I can certainly look in here, all Texas treatises, guides by practice area. But the one I'm going to pick is our Texas Criminal Practice Guide. So I'm going to pick that one. And then what I'm going to put in is, I already know I need a motion to suppress. So I'm going to put in motion to suppress. Motion to suppress. And I'm going to search in the Criminal Practice Guide. Okay, and let's see what comes up. Retain counsel, client information sheet, investigative stop, arrest without warrant, right to expunction, confessions and statements, requirement of voluntariness, effect of unlawful police, suppression hearing, okay. Motion to suppress, okay, number 11. And it actually is the name of it is motion to suppress. Okay. Confessions and statements. All right. This is under confessions and statements. I'm going to keep going. Let me see if I can find it. Tainted confession, denial of right to remain silent, denial of counsel, suppress, co-defendant. This is all about a confession, and I'm not finding what I want, so I think I'm gonna have to go back. Motion to suppress. Let me go back. Let's go back. Motion to suppress evidence. Motion to suppress evidence, and let's search again. And let's see what comes up. If I can't find it, I'm going to be searching another way. All right, objection identification. I'm going to keep looking. Here's one, search pursuant to warrant, but this was a warrantless search. So I'm going to keep looking. Warrantless searches. Okay, let me see. Okay, chapter 32 is warrantless searches. So I am going to pick it. Warrantless search is chapter 32. Okay. What I always like to look for, okay, it gives you all the different sections. And then if I go to the table of contents, okay, I'm going to view full table of contents. Okay. What I would, okay, the way that this section works is, first, they give you a write-up on searches incident to an arrest, all the different searches that they have, warrantless searches. But what we're actually looking for is a form. So they're going to give you, this is a treatise. So they're going to give you all kind of different scenarios, and you can read up on the one you want. They also give you a practice guide, and they also give you forms. So what we're looking for is forms. Here's a motion to suppress a warrantless search. In this document, I'm sorry, in this resource, the motions are always at subsection 100. So whatever section you're in, like we're right now in chapter 32. So 32-100 is a motion to suppress warrantless search. And here we have everything we want. Requested instruction regarding probable cause, vehicle search. There we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and look at that one. Oh, that's probably a jury instruction. So that's not what I want. So I'm going to go back. How far back did it take me? Okay. Here we go. A motion to suppress warrantless seizure. Okay. So, and of course you'll have to actually look at every document and see what you want. And as you may already know, all motions are pretty much the same. And so from motion to motion, there's only a few things that are different. So when you're looking through different motions to find whatever you want, if you can't find one that says exactly what you need, find the closest one that you can find. And when you find the closest one you can find, substitute the language that you need for whatever it is that is specific to your specific case. So if this is a motion to suppress, but it doesn't exactly fit our fact pattern, what we're going to do is we're going to substitute in the language that exactly fits our fact pattern. Okay.
And what you're going to find, and this is such an important point, Nanette, that you're making, and I want the students to make sure they understand. You are never going to find a form that is 100% to your circumstance. It is rare. It is not typical. And so I never want you to get discouraged, because part of being a lawyer is knowing how to draft, is knowing how to substitute language, is knowing how to fill in an ad-lib form. A form is never complete. You are never complete with a pleading till you combine a form, the law, statutory or case, and facts from your client. So a form is just a template. Please remember, the worst thing I can see when working in the courts or outside of the courts, I worked for the city of Houston for several years. I worked for the Texas Natural Resource Conservation Commission, Litigation Division, and General Counsel Division, is to see a canned form that doesn't have anything but the canned form, because it's going to be missing the law that's specific to your circumstances and the facts of your client that are relevant to the determinative situation. A form is not complete till you add additional law, your client's facts, and tailor the language to fit your circumstances. This is just a template of where you start. It should not be your end result. Okay, and so I'll let Professor Collins wrap it up and finish her discussion, but I didn't want you to feel discouraged because she's showing you exactly the process you will go through. You will never find anything that's 100% on point. It is your job to make it such.
Okay, and I just wanted to I wanted to remind you all again, we are here to help you. Okay, so even if you are at a firm, I mean, I've had people call me from Beaumont, from Austin, they call the front desk and look for one of them, say, I need help, I need a reference attorney. We've had people who, when they were at their summer jobs, on their way home, they stop at the library to ask for help from us. Okay, we're here. I've had students email me. I've had students call me in a panic. Okay, so, you know, we're here to help you. You are not alone. And do call 1-800-Westlaw and 1-800-45-Lexis. They're there to help you as well. So we don't want you to be lost, and we don't want you to waste your time. And we want your employer to think that you are an excellent researcher, and we want you to be an excellent researcher. And don't forget, when you're looking for something, you might be lost, but you'll only be lost the first time. By the time you have done it 10 times, you'll be much better. By the time you've done it 50 times, you'll be that much better. So if you start doing some of these things in law school, you'll be that much better when you get out. You'll be that much better of a researcher. Okay. So one more thing, you can also search in search is the same. You can search in all Texas forms for just anything you want. So this was that same criminal practice guide we had before. It's there. If you have a family law issue, you can pick family law. The litigation guide is just about anything. Okay. This litigation guide, I cannot stress enough. This is like the main document that most lawyers in Texas use. They use the litigation guide, and it's only in Lexis. Okay. So again, it's the same search. You can just pick the criminal practice guide, or if you do not see your topic here, just enter a search and it'll search everything. If you do not see your topic. And remember, terms are important, and try, that's why we make a big thing about search terms. So please, if some search terms don't matter, remember, call Lexis or Westlaw. They'll run the search for you with different terms. They'll tell you, it makes a difference if you use automobile or vehicle, if you use murder or homicide. Okay, there's no murder in law. Murder doesn't exist. The term is homicide. If you do murder, you will get no results. Okay, and I know that they have Google type searching now, but still, murder is just not a legal term. It's homicide, and they have different kinds of homicide. And remember, from state to state, sometimes the terms are different. So find out whatever the term is in your state. Okay, that pretty much ends my presentation. Now we're gonna give this fact pattern out at the end. We're gonna make it available in the library on Monday. There'll be some at the front desk. You can come and pick it up. And I'll add some other stuff about searching, and I'm trying to wrap it up since it's just, since we're running over.
Yes, in the chat, please, and then if you stop sharing your screen, I'll open mine. Okay. In the chat, please see that Circulation Librarian Patricia Epperson put our telephone number. Are there any general questions or concerns? I did also want to plug the fact that we are hiring for this summer. We have a summer research assistant pool program. The applications are due Wednesday. If you are interested, please email me and I will send you the application. It is a 2-month part-time program starting June 1st, ending July 31st. It is ideal for students who are planning to do summer school this summer because it's a part-time program. You must have a 2.7 GPA, and you basically do my job for this summer. I am the faculty research librarian. You will be conducting all faculty research for the summer, including special projects, books, articles, or preparation for their classes. So you will get a wide variety of research experience that is fully guided and helped by those of us who work in the library. So just plugging our own program. We appreciate you being here today, and the floor is open for any last minute questions.
Professor Long, I have one for you.
Yes, sir,
Actually,
Mr. Franco.
I have two, forgive me. The first one is I arrived maybe 6 minutes after the start time, and I just wanted to ask, this PowerPoint was very helpful. I see that it's being recorded. This is going to be provided for us.
Thank you for asking, Mr. Franco. I want to show y'all all something I didn't know if you knew, but the law library has a page that is specific to our resources in terms of all of our past programming. And we have on our page where we actually have access to all of our past recorded videos. So I'm sharing my screen so you can see how to get to that. We have, you go to the law school page and you hover over librarian, the library. And when you do that, it lets you go to events and instructional programs. And the videos from our past programs are listed here. And this crash course video will be posted for you to review. So please feel free, even if you missed our brown bag sessions this spring that were conducted in March, past videos from during the pandemic, we have all of these videos posted, and this video will also be posted on that page.
That is fabulous. Thank you so much. My last question for you, ma'am.
Mhm.
Is the summer research assistant program something that is, I guess, in your recommendation, manageable with bar prep, or would you not do that?
I would not do that. If you are taking the bar this summer, 100% of your time should be focused on studying and preparing for the bar. It is a 9-to-5 job preparing for the bar, and I treated it as such when I studied. So I would suggest you do the same.
You got it, Professor. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Great questions, though.
I
Any
have
other
a
questions?
question.
Yes.
I feel like I saw once upon a time where you could send stuff to a librarian to have it printed rather than like going into the computer lab to print stuff.
It was a project we did over the pandemic. Are you asking us to bring it back?
I am, and I have reason, because sometimes the printers need help, and sometimes I literally just go in to print something really fast. And I was wondering if that was something we could consider rebooting to circumvent those printer issues.
Well, I'm so glad you mentioned that, Ms. Hurd. We just happen to have our circulation reference librarians on here, and they do take suggestions. So we will definitely, if you fill out the survey at the end of this event, like before the screen goes off, they'll shoot you a survey. Put that in the survey, and it's something we will definitely consider bringing back.
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns? All right, well, thank you so much for being here. We have taken attendance to send to your LP professors for those who are getting credit. And we look forward to seeing y'all either apply for the summer research assistant program or in the library this summer for help. Thank you so much and have a good day.
Thank you.